like everybody else, I was following the election. And what concerned me was the levels of hatred that were coming up on both sides of the political divide that I'd never seen in my lifetime. The degree of vitriol and polarization. But maybe it's something about the online platforms and the way that information is disseminated that people gather into these kind of in-groups or these kind of tribes where you, like I read right-wing websites and left-wing websites. And I saw, despite the superficial disagreement, everybody agreed on one thing, which is that the problem are those horrible people on the other side. So there's dehumanization going on here. Like you read a liberal website, you know, and there are these unflattering photographs of Donald Trump or Paul Ryan or whoever the subject is. And then in the comment sections, it's about how horrible these bigoted, xenophobic, misogynistic people are. And if only we could defeat these people. And then, of course, on the right, there's a lot of hatred as well. And I'm thinking, maybe this agreement that the problem is the moral and intellectual deficiency of your opponents, maybe that agreement is wrong. And maybe this dehumanization of the other, that's what alarmed me, this dehumanization, because that's the template for racism. It's the template for genocide. It's the template for war. Like, can't we change the political culture that we're not dehumanizing each other? Like say, okay, well, why is Donald Trump making those comments? Or why is one of his supporters, maybe in your own family, making those kind of comments? The answer, well, he's just bad, is the same template as racism or misogyny. It's degrading somebody into a lower category of being. I don't want to theorize too much about it, but that approach of trying to understand what is it like to be you gives rise to alternatives to just fighting. Now, maybe you decide that fighting is the only answer sometimes, but at least it opens that creative space that makes other answers available, other responses available. So, for example, you know, we're seeing a lot of, not just in America, but a lot of racism, a lot of xenophobia coming out with Brexit, coming out
around the world,
around the world. And so if you say the problem is that there are just these horrible people, then, okay, if that's true, then you know what to do. But if it's not true, then you're operating in a delusion. And if you say, well, what is it like to be these people? Where is this coming from? Then you start to look into maybe the way that society has evolved, maybe the way that the middle class has shrunk, that life has gotten harder for everybody, that wealth has polarized into the rich and the poor, the way that the basic economy works, the system of interest-bearing debt that's engulfing the planet. You know, you start to look into deeper causes that are harder to solve. I feel hopeful because, in a way, normal is falling apart. And what was once hopelessly radical is becoming common sense, possibly. At least there's room for something totally new. Political normalcy is crumbling, which opens the space for the inconceivable to happen.
So long as we don't implode first.